Greetings, class. My name is Jacob Brown, and today we're going to give you some training over sensitivity analysis and capital budgeting. This is for American Military University, class Business 604, Fundamentals of Business Analysis, for Dr. Sheila Schmidt. These are the topics that we're going to discuss during this presentation. First, we're going to talk about what capital budgeting is. Then, I'm going to define sensitivity analysis and the steps involved in it to include both the qualitative and the quantitative aspects of the analysis. Finally, we're going to discuss how sensitivity analysis fits into capital budgeting and how they all work together to accomplish the team's goals. Capital budgeting is the decision-making process that companies will use to determine which capital-intensive projects they should pursue. These could be anything from opening a new factory to a significant workforce expansion, entering in a new market, or the research and development of new products. It is up to the company and what approach they want to use on how to evaluate these products. The value could be determined based off the internal rate of return, the net present value, payback periods, or a combination of various metrics. Sensitivity analysis is a financial model that determines how targeted variables are affected by changes in input variables, also commonly known as the what-if analysis. By creating given sets of variables, analysts are able to determine how changes in one variable can affect the outcome of the test. It is important to note that sensitivity analysis allows for forecasting using true and historical data. By studying all the variables and possible outcomes, the sensitivity analysis can provide management useful feedback to help them make decisions on whether or not to move forward in whichever scenario they may be examining. Some of the key takeaways on the slide are sensitivity analysis shows how different variables affect other variables. The model is also called the what-if or simulation analysis, and it helps predict share prices of publicly traded companies or how interest rates affect bond prices. Although a sensitivity analysis is useful in decision making, since the variables are based on historical data, the outcome will be based on the assumptions and may not paint a complete accurate picture. This will lead to both pros and cons of using a sensitivity analysis, which can include such factors as may identify mistakes in the original benchmark, or may burden computer systems with complex, intense models as a con. You can see more examples listed on the slide for both pros and cons. Next, we are going to discuss both the qualitative and quantitative steps of the analysis. When conducting a sensitivity analysis, it is important for analysts to understand the difference between quantitative and qualitative approaches, since they differ in their methods and results. Qualitative analysis uses expert judgment, discussions, and risk assessment tools to gauge the severity and probability of the likelihood of risks and their potential impact. Quantitative, on the other hand, uses historical data to produce precise numeric valuations of risks. This method is more time-consuming due to the highly data-driven process and is objective and numeric. Qualitative risk is a fundamental step in identifying and addressing uncertainties in project management. It enables teams to understand risk qualitatively without needing in-depth statistical data. There are 4 steps involved in the qualitative process. The first step is to identify the risks. By brainstorming potential risks with team members and stakeholders using tools like checklists, interviews, SWOT analysis to compile a comprehensive list. This collaborative approach ensures that diverse perspectives are considered for a more thorough risk assessment. The second step is to classify the risks. Review the identified risks, and categorize them based off their impact and likelihood using classifications such as high, medium, or low. This helps prioritize which risks require immediate attention, enabling proactive risk management. The third step is to control the risks. Develop mitigation strategies for high priority risks, assign risk owners, formulate responses to alleviate the impact on the project. Clear communication and accountability are crucial for effective risk control management. The final step in the qualitative is to monitor the business risks. Continually track and reassess the risks, utilizing tools such as risk registers and periodic reviews to adapt to any changes in the project or environment. Regular monitoring and adaptation are essential for staying ahead of potential risks and ensuring project success. Whereas qualitative risk relies little on actual data, the quantitative risk aims to quantify the potential impact of identified risks on project outcomes using statistical data. This process is crucial for larger projects where precise risk management is required for decision making. Here's a brief procedural breakdown. The first step is to identify the purpose, the scope, and the method. Determine the objectives of the analysis, establish what parts of the project will need to be examined, and choose the appropriate quantitative method or model to apply. You also want to consider potential alternate methods for a comprehensive assessment. Second step is to prepare the data, tools, and personnel needed. Collect relevant data, select suitable tools, and ensure that team members are within the required expertise are available. Collaborate with domain experts to validate data sources and tool selection. The third step is implement the chosen method. Execute the selected quantitative method, such as the Monte Carlo simulation or sensitivity analysis, to the collected data to ascertain the numerical probability and impact. You will also want to validate the results through cross-validation or peer review. The last step in this process is to document and store all the results. You want to record all the findings, decisions, and steps taken during the quantitative risk analysis and maintain this documentation for future reference and continuous risk management. Establish and secure accessible repository for knowledge sharing and audit trails in the future. When businesses are looking to identify and prepare for potentially dangerous events that could affect core projects or initiatives, it is essential to conduct an expert risk analysis. Although capital budgeting can be steeped in insecurity, organizations can cover all the bases by performing a professional risk analysis, such as a sensitivity analysis. With the ways the market is today, with its uncertainty, along with the unknown for the future, It is imperative for businesses to perform risk analysis as part of their decision-making process. There are many different types of risk analysis methods for companies to use depending on the scenario in which they would like to study. Here are a few of the most common types. Sensitivity analysis, that we've already discussed. It utilizes various scenario possibilities to allow a range of possible outcomes to evaluate the business decisions. It allows organizations to determine the impact of the outcomes and risks. This type of risk analysis is also useful for businesses to comprehend the totality of an investment project. Another way is called a scenario analysis. Makes projections for the future financial and economic events, which is particularly crucial for those companies in the financial industries. This type of risk analysis can indicate some plausible scenarios for the decision-making process, such as pessimistic, optimistic, and unexpected, for example. Another type is called the break-even analysis, a sales-related technique that encompasses the measuring and scrutiny of a company's safety zone based on their collective revenues and corresponding costs. Furthermore, it takes a closer look at the fixed costs and profits. The final example could be a simulation analysis. This inspects the interactions among variables, like those that impact cash inflows and outflows, and the probabilities of the change in those variables. In conclusion, risk analysis can offer organizations the benefit of preparation so that in the likelihood of an unsavory potential investment outcome, they are situated to deal with that event efficiently and still survive with their business intact. Adding professional risk analysis into your capital budgeting process allows you to identify and evaluate potential risks, possible responses, and other solutions. It would be detrimental to your business in the event of a worst-case outcome by leaving out this level of preparation, knowledge, and foresight. These are the references used in the research and development of this presentation. And that concludes my brief, and thank you for your time.